lovers of the world, this is Sinta speaking. I love journaling and I love listening to music, so I've decided to combine them into the series. Welcome to Music and Monthlies, the series where I summarize what music I listened to in my previous month and set up my journal for the next one. This is a way for me to keep track of all the music I've discovered and a way for me to exercise my skills in analyzing and expressing my opinions on music better. This video, we're going over what I listened to in October and set up my journal for November. I kind of went crazy this month and even went over the limit of 15 albums, which I normally set for myself every month. This number is mostly so that I get a good amount of albums to listen to, but still have enough time to actually process them, because otherwise I feel like I would just go through albums and not really think too much about them as a project. I went overboard because I decided to not listen to anything in the month of December because I needed to solidify my year-end list, and I can't do that if I keep listening to new stuff until the very last possible minute. Since there's so much to get through in this video, we're rapidly going through the list, describing my thoughts on each release as concisely as I can, and if I have further thoughts, I'll save that for a different video. Hint hint. Normally, I'd force myself to think and mull each album over and over so I best understand it as I can and not just quickly pass over it like I mentioned before, but this time I kind of need to get a move on, so let's get cracking. This is what I have been praying for a while now, which is a longer project from aespa. After two pretty amazing singles, aespa finally reward their fans for their patience with, I think, one of the best EPs to come out of K-pop this year. The title track Savage it sounded like to me a sleeker, edgier version of Cherry Bomb, admittedly, but I do rejoice at the arrival of another girl group willing to experiment with more interesting sounds. Like NCT, it's not even in the same level of experimental as the genres they're actually borrowing from, but their take on it is compelling nonetheless. The vocals are incredible. I don't know, it just feels really transcendental. Holistically, I think the EP has a coherent direction and sticks to it till the end. So you've heard of Oscar bait, right? I'm going to introduce something called Sophia bait. Sophia bait is what I will call any music from now on that I encounter that heavily leans into the sounds that I'm obsessed with. Now, I'm not accusing anyone of trying to pander specifically to my own tastes and not consider all the other listeners, but it will serve as my personal term that just encompasses my favorite sounds, my favorite musical tropes and styles, articulated in a way that makes it basically impossible for me to not love it. I have linked a playlist in the description of all the various songs that embody Sophia bait, this concept. And if you listen to it, I'm sure you'll find a commonality among the songs, even though they may be different in some way. But let's get back to Her by Adoy. I think that's how you pronounce their name. This EP is the embodiment of Sophia bait. It borrows a lot from new wavy sounds, shoegaze, and dream pop, which I am kind of obsessed with in a subconscious level. It feels really freeing and addictive, and it just gives me bursts of serotonin all the time, every time I listen to it. Just really a wonderful EP. So the first time I listened to this, I was kind of like, bro, who hurt you? It sounds like he's really going through it. This is the Black Skirts' first English EP as far as I'm aware. So the Black Skirts is a Korean indie band that I've heard some good stuff from in the past, and this is, I think, their most recent EP in a while. There are some cool lyrics sprinkled throughout, and I would probably like to use them as Instagram captions in the future. But the tone of the EP itself, at the first time I listened to it, felt really immature, juvenile, especially compared to the Black Skirts' previous work. But it made sense after when I read up on what the EP was actually about, because I was curious listening to this. I'm like, what the heck? What's the story behind this? And the concept for this was basically, quote, "It was inspired by my friends who got dumped last summer during the height of the coronavirus," which I just thought was really funny. Obviously, I didn't know that before listening to the album, so my first impression of this EP was mostly that confusion and that bafflement at seeing something so different to what the Black Skirts would usually go for. But reading the context really shifts the perspective, and I kind of really enjoy the concept and the project a lot more after. I really like how the lyrics literally sound like he's taken like snippets of conversations and rants from his friends and dressed them up to be sung against the backdrop of simple melodies. So I think that was really cool. Jubilee by Japanese Breakfast is probably the first album that I've heard from this band. I think I got them confused with the Japanese House, which is a different artist entirely. And I kind of went into this not knowing what the Japanese Breakfast sounded like. But I actually really like this album, and it's very fun and funky to listen to. So okay, let's welcome back Enhypen, a well talked about group in this channel. I've probably covered all their comebacks since they've debuted, which is nice. So here we go with Enhypen's second comeback of the year with Tamed Dashed, their take on a summer song at basically the beginning of Korea's autumn, if you look at the calendar. Interesting concept. I really disliked the title track. It didn't really impress me, but that's to be expected considering that I haven't really been the biggest fan of their title tracks in the past. However, I do like the EP as a whole. I think it plays a lot into the staples of K-pop albums, but executed really well. There's a reason why Enhypen are a well talked about, well covered band in this channel, so looking forward to hopefully covering more of them in the future. ITZY, another well talked about group in this channel. We meet again. I feel like I have a strained relationship with ITZY's discography, and at this point, I really had no hope of ever actually reconciling with their musical direction. I really loved their debut songs, but since then, I feel like they haven't been catering specifically to my own tastes, and I think that's fine. I've accepted it. But that being said, since my expectations for this album were so low, I was actually surprised that there were pockets of time where I actually enjoyed some of the tracks here. I really, really don't like Loco. If you pardon my language, I think it sucks. It's definitely my least favorite ITZY song so far. And I'm really sorry to the majority of the ITZY listeners because you all seem to really like this song, and I love that for you. I really do. But to me, it just feels like such a downgrade from their absolute bangers like Wannabe and Dala Dala, which are, like, I think, the cream of the crop in terms of ITZY songs. So yeah, I'm a bit sad about that. I was hoping that since this is an album, it would kind of redeem ITZY in a way, but kind of. Holistically, the album itself is not like great by any means. So many of the songs here have interesting parts, but I really couldn't bring myself to fully commit to liking them. But as a project, as like a body of work itself, it flows well in terms of like track order and direction, I think. As much as I dislike that direction that ITZY has chosen and decided to go for, they at least go for it with gusto. And I can, respect that. There's also some new thematic grounds that they sort of touch on, but I ultimately feel like the lyrics need more work, especially the English ones. Yeah. My favorite track is called Love Is. I feel like it was bringing me back 2010's pop realness. Something like what Little Mix might have sang in the past, except I feel like ITZY's vocals are just not hitting it. But we love them all the same. This is one of those instances where I feel like the music is better than what I feel for it is. Oh my god, I don't think I can better word it. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is that I think the EP is really solid. Masterclass example of executing classic pop sounds with a fresh new angle, but I guess it didn't really leave a lasting impression on me. Woods is a artist that I feel like I could be into if I tried, but none of his stuff has really left a lasting impression on me, and that's pretty much the same for this EP. I thought this EP itself was kind of passable. It was pleasant to listen to, but again, mostly forgettable. I do respect and admire the duality with the Korean and English songs. I think that's really impressive. Being able to write and produce songs in more than one language is pretty impressive, and I gotta commend that. My favorite song is called Multiply. I think it's a really sweet song. Tribe is one of those newly debuted groups that sort of fly under my radar until they managed to catch my attention inevitably. I think their previous title tracks have never also suited my tastes, so I kind of mostly left them alone until now. I initially didn't like the title track, Would You Run, but I did find it amusing to find that the chorus sounds exactly like the chorus for Wannabe by ITZY. I'm not saying that Tribe copied ITZY. I'm just saying that the chord progression they used are just musically suited to be like that. I think they used the same chord progression. Look at As If It's Your Last by Blackpink. They have the same chord progression as well. But you know what? Eventually, Would You Run grew on me. I think I like it because there's that part before the chorus hits. It's almost like a false anti-drop, but I'm not really sure what you would call it. That I think kind of ties the song together because the song itself is quite chaotic, but that little bit where it kind of goes quiet and it focuses on that one girl singing that her lines, I think is just kind of a cherry on top that makes the entire Sunday taste better. Yeah, I'll stick with that. The rest of the EP I think is also pretty cohesive. It definitely leans towards a specific genre that I don't necessarily like all the time, but I do love that it doesn't sound like the same song over and over. Does that make sense? I'm trying to say that they have a cohesive sound, are able to play within the boundaries of that specific sound well. I think this is a pretty good EP. And you know what? I'm gonna say it. It might be one of the most enjoyable K-pop projects I've heard this year so far. Good on them. They're kind of a new goo, so I think you should definitely check them out at the very least. Anyway, speaking of new goos, we've got another rookie group emerging from the new cast of characters within the landscape of K-pop. Let's meet Purple Kiss. I think they debuted this year, eh? I didn't really like the debut EP that they released. Definitely earlier this year. I think it was called Ponza, but none of their songs caught my attention in that EP, I'm trying to say. But their title track, Zombie, I think is the one that caught my attention. Not because I like the song itself, but I feel like I actually noticed their talent in that song. But the song itself, Zombie itself, sounds like a Dua Lipa song. And you can't change my mind. And that's not inherently a bad thing. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I'm not really into the Dua Lipa sound in the first place. So this song is mostly just, I don't know, amusing for me to listen to because I feel like they really captured the essence of the Dua Lipa style. And I gotta commend that. Again, it's like any kind of masterful use of music theory is like, I think, commendable, especially because as far as I'm aware, Purple Kiss write their own songs. Anyway, I think it's just a testament to how well they are able to jump on pop trends and execute them in a well-intentioned and still unique way. Like 2 a.m. sounds like a Bruno Mars Leave the Door Open with Anderson .Paak knockoff with the horns, the way the ad-libs are delivered, but I still dig it. As far as I'm aware, Purple Kiss produce their own songs, so if that's the case, I'm really impressed with their songwriting skills and I will definitely give credit where credit is due. My favorite song from the EP is called Cast Pearls Before Swine. That's a pretty good song, I gotta say. It doesn't sound like a song that I assume I would like. Listening to it for the first time, it's not really what I like gravitate towards, but it's good. This was a really sweet EP with the consistent use of like the playful accordion, the serene piano, the gentle guitar. It all kind of works together to evoke a sense of naivete, but also uncertainty for life. It's kind of hard to explain. I love how she sings in 3 languages. Like, I know I commended Woods for singing in 2, but she sings in 3 here. That's amazing. Korean, English, and French. In terms of like choosing a favorite song, it's hard to choose one because they're all kind of all good. But also like there's only 4 of them, you know? It's a pretty short EP. That being said, I think it just means that the whole body of work itself is a really fun and a healing experience to listen to. Anyway, I just really like this EP and I think you should listen to it. Not only is this Key's first ever EP, but it's also his first comeback since his return from his military enlistment. Welcome back, Key. We all missed you and I'm so glad to be here to hear you sing this song. I really love this freaking title track. Bad Love is a bombastic, retro-futuristic song with unhinged levels of wild energy. Key's voice makes me feel so powerful. The way his falsettos carry the listener to the absolute zenith of the human experience, further bolstered by his attitude, it's completely infectious. It makes me want to wail wildly to the sky as well. As much as I adore this title track, it is unfortunately also the EP's downfall, as none of the songs that follow it are as high energy or as memorable as Bad Love. As such, the EP, unfortunately, is mostly forgettable. Sorry, Key, but good job on Bad Love. Keep doing that. Yes. Pussy Boots ass down, yes God. So, the well-versed K-pop listener may remember Raiden as the producer responsible for a number of tracks emerging out of SM Entertainment. Raiden usually partners up with a singer, usually an SM artist. For example, Irene from Red Velvet, Chanyeol from EXO, Yuri from Girls' Generation, to name a few. Now, Raiden has come out with an EP featuring SM artists, sure, but also artists from other companies, because Raiden is a producer. The title track is called Love Right Back with Taeil from NCT and a rapper named Illboy, and I gotta say, I fully believe they chose to promote the song only and only because they've got a popular member of NCT in the song and not because this track is meant to be the best song of the project. Number one, why did you give Taeil such a bland song? Two, you could have just chosen literally anything else, but maybe it's because you're an SM artist. That's why you had to choose another SM singer. That's probably it. That being said, the title track is easily overshadowed by other songs in the EP. I like the NCT-led songs the least, because there's two of them. There's the one with Taeil and there's one with Xiaojun. Oh, that's the thing. I love Xiaojun. The heck? But I feel like his song is forgettable. Anyway, I very much favor the other three songs. One with Yoojong, the other with Miyeon from G-Idol, and this guy who's not a K-pop singer, but the song is in English. I don't remember his name. Anyway, I think those songs are just better produced and just have better vocal performances. For example, well, I can't really choose a specific favorite out of the three, but I really want to highlight Yoojong's solo, because even though she is a fantastic vocalist, she mostly fulfills the main rapper role in Wekimeki, her original girl group. I hardly ever hear her vocals really shine as much as they do in this song, which is kind of a shame because she is a phenomenal singer. She keeps her tone light and pretty, but still managed to carry a lot of emotion and depth, and I feel like that should be commended. Go have a listen to that, and yeah, let me know if you think that the NCT songs are actually your favorites. Comment down below. Not gonna lie, I mostly listen to this EP out of obligation rather than out of genuine curiosity and interest. Wonho has a great voice, and I have enjoyed his comebacks since he went solo, but I feel like he's never really impressed me too much. Sorry. Regardless, I wanted to make sure I had my bases covered this year, and I wanted to try and see if maybe he'll change my mind this time. Especially since his comeback this time is a summer comeback, which, if you know me, I love summer comebacks. They're so bright and poppy. Blue is your standard summer comeback song. Bright, catchy, poppy, whatever. I actually kind of like it. I think his vocal delivery carries the right amount of syrupy sincerity without sounding too much like it's entirely fan service. But I gotta say, I think he shown better in the more mature / like sexy comeback concepts that he's done in the past. I don't know, maybe that's just me. Holistically, the EP, I don't know, maybe I'm just not that influenced by his voice. Like, I agree that he's a great singer, but I feel like he doesn't sing well enough for me to actually remember him, to put it bluntly. And that's kind of like that's how much I feel about the EP as well. My favorite song is 24/7 because I do love the future-based influences, but I think his voice might not be the best fit for that song. Sorry, Wonho. Have you seen his Halloween costume? I'm writing this script after hearing the news that ONF are enlisting to the military together as a group, which that's pretty freaking bonkers in my opinion, but you know what? Kudos to them. I did not see that coming. That decision takes a lot of guts. I will definitely be sad that ONF are gone. I think that they actually are offering something really interesting to the boy group sphere that I don't really see anybody else being able to fulfill at the moment. What do you think? Do you think that them leaving together as a group is a good decision? I feel like they could have kept going together and gained more momentum rather than like stopping stuff entirely and like leaving one person to carry the burden of keeping the memory of them for a year, which in K-pop time is like quite a while. Maybe I'm just overthinking it, but if you're a fan of ONF, leave a comment down below what you think about them leaving as a group. If you don't know who ONF are, they're leaving to the military as a anyway. Moving on. Yeah, so as I said, I will miss them as a boy group because I feel like they offer something different to the others, and this short summer EP is a great example of that. Oh my god. The title track is called Popping, and it starts off with, "Hey you there, please don't sing sad song. Come closer, can you feel it? Summer is coming." Pop off, first of all. That is 100% iconic behavior. So true, King. So true, bestie. You're so right. It is so painfully earnest because they chose to sing it at the risk of sounding corny, but sang it anyway. But that's probably because they're not like, English isn't their first language, which is fine, but also kudos to them for writing music. I don't know, I just feel like we should commend people for taking funny risks, because when K-pop usually feels so calculated to be perfect and flawless, it's really heartwarming to see something that is very much so not perfect and flawless and like, corny or cheesy, but it's in those moments of, I think, genuine humanness that I really appreciate. I don't know, I just really like it. It's just so sweet to hear the like, "Hey you there, don't sing that song, it's summer." It's so cute. But the song itself has consistencies to it, like follows up really well to Beautiful Beautiful, which is their earlier comeback they did in February. It carries the same sounds, follows the same story, so I gotta appreciate that. That being said, that's probably the only song in the EP that I actually like. All the other songs are still good executions of their respective genres, but they're not for me. Let's all await ONF's full group comeback in the future, and let's hope that they have a safe military enlistment. But I gotta say, please listen to Poppin'. It's so cute. I can't believe that this actually exists in K-pop. So, bless. Ah, yes, the beginning of the Is1 girlies emerging out of the rubble of their disbandment. Kwon Eun-bi is one of the more popular members, so it's no big surprise that she's debuted as a soloist. Also, what was the other option? Debuter in another girl group? Probably not. Title track Door, I think, fits Eunbi's voice really well, and the jazzy, sophisticated concept itself is very suitable for Eunbi's like elegance and grace. I'm sure her fans like it and are happy to see her debut, but I really dislike it. I genuinely don't like it, and that's probably just because I don't really find jazzy sounds that interesting. The rest of the EP is fine. It's mostly forgettable and, perfectly average. 17, probably one of the most well-known K-pop boy groups out there, are back at it again with another well-executed EP. I think 17's greatest strength has always been their ability to turn trendy sounds and make them their own. This is because they have such a fundamental understanding of pop music that I feel like it's easy for them to keep their finger on the pulse. Like an example would be when they made Don't Wanna Cry when Chainsmokers were like really big. But to be fair, they did produce it with the producers of Chainsmokers, but you get what I mean. In this case, Rock With You sounds really good because it uses the same chord progressions and structure as another good song, Stay by Justin Bieber and Kid Laroi. Have you heard it? Yeah. It's not necessarily a bad thing because I love Stay by Justin Bieber, unfortunately. I just thought it was hilarious the first time I heard it because I was like, hold on. 17. Rock With You is probably one of the best 17 title tracks I've heard in a while, although that's not really saying anything because I don't actively keep up with 17. The EP itself is pretty good though. A few tracks stood out more so than others, but otherwise Attica is just another example of 17's songwriting and producing capabilities. I think it was really good. My favorite songs are To You, I think that's the first track, Rock With You, But also, funnily enough, I genuinely like 2 minus 1, the last track of the EP, despite the absolute banality of the lyrics. Like, it sounds like a 13-year-old high schooler wrote it or something after their first breakup. Like, no offense, I don't know who wrote it. I do applaud you. And like I just said, I do really like that song. It's just kind of funny. So sorry though. I do genuinely like it. I will stream it, and you are so right. 2 minus 1, I'm super great. Doing just fine without you. Here we have CL's long-awaited full album, Alpha. So I gotta say, I'm kind of just happy that somebody from 21 is still successfully in the industry. I know Minzy is kind of struggling to get her feet off the ground. Park Bomb, I haven't heard a damn thing from her in ages. I don't know what Sandara Park is doing, but I'm just really happy that like someone from 21 still has a career. I'm sorry about the other girlies. I know you're working really hard, but the fact that I don't know what you're doing is just really telling. So yeah, I'm just really happy. Even though I don't really like the album by CL, I'm still just happy that she's still making music and she's still able to form connections within the industry after fucking leaving YG, which is an absolute dungeon hellscape. Anyway, this album, pretty good. I know I said I didn't like it because it's true, but I still think it's pretty good. It's a good pop album. I think CL definitely learned a thing or two from being in YG for so long, because she still has her style, and I can appreciate that. I can appreciate developing a musical identity, even if it's something that I don't necessarily enjoy personally. Her first language isn't English, but she definitely sings a lot of English in the album itself, and again, that takes a lot of work. Not always hitting the mark for me in terms of lyrics, but I still appreciate it a lot. Do I have any favorite songs? I'm gonna have a quick look. Okay, so I have been keeping up with some of the singles that she's been releasing, and my favorite is probably... Okay, well, if you count the ones that she released the year before, Hua and 5 Star, I would probably say 5 Star is my favorite single from this album, and then second to that would be Lover Like Me. I guess you could say I'm like there. I definitely gravitate towards a mood or a style. That's just up to you to decide. So Do Hansa is the main rapper for the boy group Victon, and he's made his solo debut with quite possibly one of the best EPs to come out of K-pop in 2021 that I have encountered. The title track is called Take Over, and boy, is it a very fitting title for a debut like this. I'm really impressed at his decision to come out with a release like this. The music video on its own is such a fantastic display of experimenting with gender and androgyny that I absolutely hardly ever see in K-pop, considering how conservative the mainstream audience can be. The lyricism is quite good, at least judging from the translations I've seen on the actual music video. I really like the EP. My favorite song is called Public Enemy, and it evokes that wave of pop punk revivalism that we've been seeing a lot lately, but for some reason I really like his take on it, and I just can't seem to get enough. And finally, here are some projects that I listened to that I didn't really have much to say about, and I didn't want to force myself to come up with something when there was nothing there that interests me. So yeah, thank you for sticking to the end. Please press like if you enjoyed this video and subscribe if you want to see more. I post every week on Mondays, or at least I try to. All my social media links are down in the description alongside the albums I listed off in the video, as well as my Ko-fi and Patreon page if you want to support my work. I recently added a new Patreon tier where I send personalized happy mail to pledges, so check that out if that's something you're interested in. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!